Okay, so I'm super excited because we're welcoming to the ProcureATL podcast my mother. I don't know why you're laughing because it's true.
No, it is very true.
We want to welcome the Deputy Chief Procurement Officer of the City of Atlanta, Tapika Howard. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rachel. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
So it's so hard to have you. You are so busy. We've been trying to get her in the studio, and we got her in the studio today. So I'm super excited that
It's
you're
my
here.
boss's fault.
You know what? And he's right over there. So, boss, keep telling her to come back here because we want her here.
It's my boss's fault, but I'm grateful. Thank you.
I do want to start off by just saying that I like you so much. Like, your energy is so good. And when I said my mom, I'm not exaggerating. Like, it feels good when you come into a workplace and you can kind of identify with people. Mm-hmm. She comes in, she gives the best hugs, she gives the best talks, motivation, and people need that. And I don't know if you know how much people need that. Mm-hmm. But we do, and we're very grateful that you're here, and that's what you give us on top of tons of leadership, which we're about to get into.
Oh, I appreciate that, Rachel. I think it's important for people to experience joy. I do. I just think no matter where they are, no matter what's going on in their lives, I think one hug, one smile, all of that can shift the trajectory of someone's day. So I think that's important.
It really does.
Yeah.
So let's get into business real quick.
All right,
so
let's get into it.
Deputy Chief Procurement Officer of the City of Atlanta's Department of Procurement. What does that mean?
So my responsibility is to assist the Chief Procurement Officer in overseeing all procurement matters, from strategic sourcing, vendor management, vendor relations, anything procurement related here at the City of Atlanta, as well as managing specific areas of procurement to align with our mission and goals of the department, which is excellence and value creation through partnership, innovation, and collaboration. And so it's the responsibility of me to carry some of that weight, although he has a large amount of the weight to carry. But procurement is huge. Procurement involves strategic sourcing. You're talking about contract management. And we're talking about over a $25 billion spend for the City of Atlanta here in procurement. So it's a responsibility that I'm honored and privileged to assist in carrying, and I consider it an honor.
Well, you know, we've spoken. You've mentioned that you've worked in government for a good chunk of your career.
Yep.
So, like, what brought you to, I guess, your start in government? Why government? It sounds huge. Procurement is a word that is so intimidating. So, what particularly brought you to do this?
So, I initially left college. I'm going to give you just this brief summary. Left college, communications specialist. It wasn't my degree. I was a business major with a minor in international relations because I love nations. And I started as a communications specialist, and my boss says, hey, there's a job at the federal government, of which I think you would like. One of the U.S. senators is hiring a congressional liaison. I think you'd love it. And I'd always said when I was a little girl, honestly, that I would work in the Richard B. Russell Federal Building. I ended up getting that job a year and a half after college. Started as an assistant, started as an EA at a front desk, and ended up being an immigration specialist, of which I served with the feds for about 9 years. And I loved the job. I loved interacting with people. I loved interacting with different countries, consular officers and ambassadors from other countries that I thought was amazing. But it broadened my perspective from where I came from. A little girl raised in the hood, right? But my goal was to not stay there. My goal was to make sure that I could expand my horizon. And the only way you can do that is to get out of your comfort zone. So for me, that was getting out of my comfort zone. I've always loved government, and I started there and ended up being a government relations specialist for my historically black college that I graduated from, and felt like I needed to get back into the public sector because there was something here. And so I came to the City of Atlanta, very innocent, young, and green.
So, two things. When you mentioned communications, I could totally see that.
Really? Okay.
I can. I could totally see communications being something that you've done because you're so good at it. Okay. And then when you mentioned about kind of manifesting where you wanted to work and landing there, I could totally see that too.
Yeah.
Because you're so motivational. And I want to kind of talk to you about why you kind of are like that. Because one of the first things I remember when I got here was a class that you taught. And I think it was about learning management style, like learning people. And I remember listening, and I was like, oh, my gosh, she's so good. Yeah. And I feel so motivated. Yeah. So where does that come from?
I'll be honest with you. I think that at some point in time in life, we all have challenges, right? But it's your perspective. It's how you look at it will determine how you come out of it. And I've always had a lens of there's got to be a brighter side to where I am or where I'm going. And I want people to see that wherever you are, no matter the challenge, no matter the life circumstances, no matter how you were brought up, no matter the environment by which you were brought up, there's an opportunity for you to see it through a different lens, which is, for me, victory, right? Which for me is there's got to be something to celebrate out of this. And so I don't look at life as a problem or a challenge. I look at it, there is an opportunity that's going to be birthed out of this. And so that's how I've always looked at life. And that's how I want people to see it. When they see me, I want you to see opportunity. I don't want you to see a challenge. I don't want you to see something that is going to impede your progress. I want you to see an opportunity for you to grow and develop and just enjoy life.
That's important.
Yeah.
And do you get that from like your parents, or is it just from experience?
I get that from watching what my parents endured.
Right.
And so I tell people all the time, you either gravitate to the environment by which you were born or you will run from it.
That's a good
For
one.
me, I did a little of both. I initially started gravitating to it. I was not raised in a very normal household. It was hostile, and I can be very transparent. But my mother, my mother is a woman of what I would consider, she has such a bulldog tenacity. She does not give up, and I know that's where I got it from. That no matter what it looks like, if you have to fight your way out of it, you fight your way out of it with positivity. And that's exactly what I had to do.
I do love that. And I do want to get into your family life soon, but I do have a question. Like a Black woman in leadership, like fortunately we're seeing a lot of it now, but I know that coming up, it probably wasn't as, attainable seeming for, women who look like us to be in these positions.
Sure.
There's a lot of, potential negative. Is she going to be easy to work with? Does she know what she's doing? So how does it feel to be in that role, and kind of what do you want people to kind of gain from seeing a woman like yourself in a leadership role like you are?
So the first thing I want to say is I feel like that people always are looking at you, no matter what role you play. And your intention should be that if they're going to look at me, I want them to emulate what I'm doing. I want them to be able to take what I've got, what I've learned, and I want them to be able to use it for their own betterment and growth. And so if I'm looking at it from that lens that I have a little girl or a young woman who is looking at me, I want her to be able to say, yep, I want to do just that. I want to be just like that. But I don't want to exhibit behavior that is going to cause her to shift in a different direction where she cannot grow, where she hinders her own progress, and she doesn't know what it looks like to excel. Because success is not a position. Success to me is a determination that I'm not going to stop and I'm just going to keep growing and getting better at what I do in my craft, whatever that is. So to me, it is someone always being in a position, you're going to look at me. If you're going to look at me, I want to give you something that you can mimic. And I want you to do it successfully. I don't want to be mean-spirited. I want it to be filled with joy. And I want you to be able to say, without a doubt, that what she gave to me as a deposit, I can now utilize it and I can pass it on to somebody else.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I feel like we definitely try, and sometimes can be misunderstood, but I feel like you make it a point to be seen and to be welcoming and, open door policy so that people know that you're approachable.
Yeah.
Because, guys, if you haven't noticed her style, so sometimes when you see the supermodel walking, you might not be like, can I go talk to her? But she's just so warm and welcoming, and people need that, especially in this climate with everything that's going on. A lot of times you get intimidated by leadership. Can I talk to you? Can I trust you with my feelings? And you make it a point to always be open with that.
And you want people, the other part of that, Rachel, is why aren't you approachable? These are questions we have to ask ourselves in leadership. I want to build bridges, not walls. And that's the role of leadership. It is, I want to make sure that people can take this and walk through to their next phase of their own journey. If I'm building walls, it says that I don't want you to get to where I am or surpass me. That is not true leadership. I want you to surpass me. I want you to be better than I was. And I want you to utilize whatever it is you have to give to somebody else so they can keep walking across that bridge.
Exactly. So let's talk about your family. So I'm going to take a guess. I bet you your house is well decorated. It smells really nice. She can cook really well. I haven't experienced these, but I feel like this is exactly who you are.
I am. Cooking, I can cook.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
All the time because my daughters now 25 and 19. So they're adult women. So I feel like now in this season of their life, they should be giving back to me. Go cook.
I hope my
I've
mom
trained
doesn't
them
hear
well.
this.
I've trained them well. I've cooked for them all their lives, but I just have one master chef. She's 19. She cooks very well, right? But my house does smell really good. I think it's important. You should look like you dress, right? You dress like you look. Your home should be clean. I think that's important. And I only do that not just for me, but my daughters need to know how to take care of themselves, right? That your home needs to reflect a place of love, right? A place of cleanliness, a place where you can come and feel safe. And that's the environment I truly create for our children. Yeah.
And you do like your mom all around. Like, how do you balance the two? Because you're kind of like mom to us, but you're
Right.
still the
Right.
boss.
Right.
So and I know you're like that with your daughter. So how do you balance the two?
It's easy. For me, is to make sure I've always made them first. I've always made them first. I don't care what job I've had. I left the city at one point in time and went home and raised them for 10 full years. While it was a sacrifice, it was critical for the age that they were in. And so I felt like because I invested that time, by the time I came back to work, they were of age. And I had planted such great determination seeds that they were like, oh, we can do this. We're great. We can fly. So now when they need me in a way, I'm not really managing their lives. I'm now a consultant. Well, with the baby that's in undergrad, I'm still managing,
Sure.
right? The oldest, I'm now just a consultant, but she knows what to do. So it's easy for me to balance now because they're adults, right? And it's also important that I don't forget them even though they're adults. And they already know the sacrifices that I've already made. I'll never forget them. I appreciate, too, as well, that I have a boss who appreciates family because that's important, too. That I represent a place where family is important to our leader, and thankfully he understands that concept. So if anything happens, I'm not worried about if I can be present with my girls. I can, but I can balance it all.
And that's so important to have. So as you know, I'm expecting my
Yeah.
second baby.
Yeah.
It's a girl. I already have a boy.
Yeah.
So any advice would you like to, as a mother of two girls,
Yeah.
like to give me about my future journey?
I'll tell you the term that our oldest uses all the time. People used to say, oh, you're so spoiled. And she'd say, no, I'm just properly taken care of and loved well. Just love her well. And shower her with tons of love. That's really it. And boundaries are a part of that love. That's what boundaries, and that's what happens when you love them well, is that you create boundaries, and then when they get out into the world, they're not out there doing things that are not necessary to their livelihood.
I love that. And that makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, we're in 2025 by the time you guys hear this, and procurement has some huge things coming up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it real quick.
Yeah, we're looking forward to developing a supplier mentorship program. It's going to be huge. We're excited about that. Our leader has given us a driving initiative to create a program that will benefit our next generation of leaders, which is critical, right? We're not going to be here long, I keep saying to people. And so you want to be able to create a momentum and an atmosphere where they can grow and learn and thrive. And so we want those leaders to be able to garner that information from mentors who are in the marketplace, who've already gone through certain things that they're trying to endure. And so we want to create that opportunity for our next generation of leaders. That's a monumental task for us. The city's not had that in that way, and I'm so glad that we have the visionary who has brought that to the city. And it's going to be great for us. I mean, I could talk about a million other things, but I think that is paramount because this is a city that our mayor wants to create an opportunity for all. And not only that, but he wants to create an ethical and efficient government. And in doing that, you impart to the people who create the economy to do just that. And that's what these leaders are going to do.
I love that. So before we go, I know I made it seem like that was the last question.
Yeah.
So when we had the chief procurement officer on, he gave us a little like special surprise, something that some behind the scenes back in his day, he was a DJ. And you're not fun for no reason. So let's hear. I know you have something that you back in the day, were you a dancer, a singer?
I was a dancer. I did dance. I danced many years in high school. Even after high school, I danced a little bit in college. I stopped a little bit in college and decided I would reform my life. But I also did hair and makeup for about 12, 14 years. So that was a long part of my life that, was a grace period. But my father wouldn't allow me to go directly to cosmetology school from high school. He said, if you are going to do this, and this was going to be a fun part of your life, you have to go get a 4-year degree first. And so that was fair. And so that's what I did. And then after I finished college, in between all the other things of getting married and all the other stuff, I went to cosmetology school, got my license, and started playing dress up in a different way. And I've styled people for a long time. So
I can tell.
so I got a couple of things that I enjoy doing, even now. So I'm not a DJ, but I have danced. I've had a couple of things, exciting things in my life.
Well, Tapika, Mom, thank you so much for joining us on
Thank
the
you.
ProcureATL podcast. This was so fun, and I've always wanted to get you on, and I know we're going to have you back.
I want to come back. I feel like that I just feel so honored that you guys brought me here. I did not tell you this, and this is one more thing. Okay. I've written 6 books, but we'll talk about that on the next podcast.
Okay. So you will come
in
back.
between my life.
And I will read those books
yes.
so that we can talk about
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. And like I said, it's a pleasure. And also, I always want to, on behalf of the media team, we know that you're one of our biggest supporters. So I always want to make sure that you publicly get your flowers, that we know you have our back and our creativity and everything that we need to succeed. And we're very grateful for it.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Y'all work really hard, and we thank you. We're grateful to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.